The most basic manipulation to any display object is to position it on the screen. To set a display object's position, you'll change the object's x and y properties. Written .x equals a number and then .y. In older versions of ActionScript, this was _x and _y. The syntax is you name the instance here, the clock instance, clock_MC, and then set its x and y parameters. The display object positioning system treats the stage as a common grid with a horizontal x-axis and a vertical y-axis. The origin of the coordinate system, the 0, 0 coordinate where the x and y axes meet, is the top left corner of the stage. So here I'm going to set the position of the clock movie clip relative to its registration point right here in the center, and I'm going to set that center point into the upper left hand corner. If we do a control test movie, we can clearly see that there is a registration point in the upper left hand corner. Now from here, the x values are positive going right and negative going left, while in contrast to typical graphing systems, y values are positive going down and negative going up. For example, if I set the object to 10 pixels to the right of the original and the y coordinate to 200 pixels below the origin, it'll move over to the right and down 200 pixels. Let's go ahead and do that. Set x to 10, y to 200. Test this again, and it moves down and to the right. By default, when a display object is created using ActionScript, the x and y properties are both set to 0, placing the object at the top left-hand corner of the parent content. Now I can also use absolute or relative positioning to position other objects here in my display list, in this case the minute hand. Let's go ahead and set the path root.clock_MC.minute.x equals 0, y equals 0. If we do this, control test movie, notice that the minute hand, also the second hand which is attached to the minute hand, actually the second hand is inside of the minute hand, both of them are 0, 0 centered on the parent movie clip, this one. Let's set our parent movie clip here to 200 so we can see it real well. And now let's start moving the x value of the minute hand. Let's move that 100 pixels over to the right. This time the movie clip will be more in the center. There we go. Notice that the minute and second hands are 100 pixels over to the right. They're in the same vertical position, but I can change that by adding a number there to the y value. Control test movie. Now it's moved over to the right and down 50 pixels. I think the best way to really get a handle on the XY properties is just to start putting in numbers and trying to change the position of different objects on the stage here. As just demonstrated, it's important to remember that the X and Y properties always refer to the position of the display object relative to the 0, 0 coordinate of its parent display object's axes. So for a movie clip instance, such as a minute hand of our clock, contained inside another movie clip instance, setting the instance object's X and Y properties to 0, we'll place the movie clip on the registration point of the parent movie clip, which is not necessarily the left top corner of the stage. To position an object relative to the global stage coordinates, you can use the global to local method of any display object to convert coordinates from global or stage coordinates to local, which are also referred to as display object container coordinates. And you would do that using this script here. Notice that there is my global to local method right there. I'm setting a variable stage point. I'm creating a new point, 0, 0. Then I'm targeting that point with the clock movie clip, global to local stage point. Then notice that here is the path to my minute hand, target point X, target point Y. If we go ahead and test this movie, watch what happens to the minute hand. It's way up here in the top left-hand corner, which is 0, 0. Notice that I've placed my clock movie clip down here 200 by 200 so I can see it really well. I can go ahead and change these coordinates by changing the new point values here. Let's move this over 200 x, 200 y. So now it'll be centered right there on the clock face, since both of them are moved 200 pixels over to the right and 200 pixels down from the upper left hand corner. Let's change these to different numbers, to 50 and 300, and now the minute hand will be offset from the clock face down here, 100 pixels over to the right and 50 pixels down. Let's move this, change this to 350 and move it down even further. Again, this is from the absolute left corner of the stage up here in the left. And again, what I like to do when I first set up these coordinates is set the x and y values to 0, 0 to see really where the registration point, or where this is being registered from, or where the origin is. And then you can start modifying it from that origin. Notice that in this case I'm right up there in the upper left hand corner, 0, 0 in the stage coordinate system. And finally, in conclusion, you can also use the display object class's local to global method to convert local coordinates to stage coordinates. Let me now move on to the next movie and demonstrate how to use scripting to modify the colors of your display objects.